in terms of stealing ideas, often in a writer's room, someone will say, "Oh, I just saw that episode 2 weeks ago on whatever show," and then usually the writers will go, "Ugh, we'll kill the idea." So that's not plagiarizing. That's coming up with the idea independently and then killing it because you don't want people to think you plagiarized. You're listening to Screenwriters Need to Hear This with Michael Jamin. Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Michael Jamin. You're listening to Screenwriters Need to Hear This. I'm here with Phil Hudson.
What up?
What up? And we're doing part 2 of the Ask Me Anything. And Phil has some more questions. These are designed for, what kind of questions are these, Phil?
Yeah, so a ton of questions came in. So we're moving into professional questions, what I kind of grouped that way. Aspirational.
Part 1, if you missed it, that was questions about craft, right?
Yeah.
And these are about questions about professional and what else?
Aspirational questions, like breaking in, and then some general stuff. So,
yeah.
All right. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. Professional.
Oh, and by the way, the way these people, just if you're new to the podcast, the way people ask these questions is on my social media profile on Instagram at Michael Jamin Writer. Every couple of months, we post a blue tile that says "Ask Me Anything." And so if you have questions that I haven't answered, that's where you do it. Put it up there, and we'll talk about it.
Yep. Awesome. Professional question number 1 from Give Shrimp a Chance, which I think is probably one of the best Instagram names I've ever heard.
That's good.
I will give them a chance, actually. Yeah. Michael, you're vegan, pescatarian, vegetarian. What are you technically?
I say I'm a vegan, but I do eat fish from every once in a while for protein. But I don't eat any.
Some pescatarian, then.
Yeah. I guess you could say that, but because I don't eat any dairy.
Got it. Yeah, so you're vegetarians or vegetarian. Pescatarians are vegetarians who eat fish. You're not that because you're vegan, but you eat fish occasionally. Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Good question here. I thought it was interesting. When you are a writer's assistant, do you ask for an episode or wait until one is offered or draft possible story areas and send them to the showrunner just in case? Asking for a friend.
Good question. Well, you definitely want to put in your time. You wouldn't if you got promoted to writer's assistant, you don't want to in season 1 start asking for an episode. You got to earn the right to be there. So you got to be there for a full year. And then it's just how I feel. And then once you're there for a full year or 2 or whatever, then you can approach your boss and say, "Hey, I'd love to be considered for a freelance episode. I'd love to be able to pitch you an idea." And you should have all these ideas on the ready. I mean, you're there, so you can come up with ideas season 1, but I kind of, you want to make it so that they owe you, so that the showrunner owes you one, so that you're loyal. And you've put in the time, and this is the least they can do is to repay you by giving you an episode.
There's also a very clear level of trust displayed if you come back for a second season, right?
Yeah, it means they like you, yeah.
Yeah, so it means that they are looking at you for those opportunities or already considering you. I do, and it's just, I apologize, I want to say we brought this up last year, so forgive me if this is a little redundant, but I do know that in screenwriting Twitter, there was some conversation about how sometimes you get staffed as a writer's assistant and then your show gets canceled. And then you move to another show and you're a writer's assistant there and then that show gets canceled. Mm-hmm. And that's a process. And so there are people who've been writer's assistants for like 5 seasons and they may not have ever been on a show for 2 seasons. What about in a situation like that where you're new people? Yeah.
Sucks for you. I mean, it's just, what are you going to do? That's just the way it goes. That requires luck. What are you going to do?
Here's a political question in regard to this subject, which is, I'm a writer's assistant. Below me, right, there's a writer's PA. And above me, there's a script coordinator. And the script coordinator wants to write freelance episodes probably as well.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that? Because you've got someone else, technically, in my opinion, this is just my experience, they have seniority over you because they've probably been working with them longer.
It's the same thing. I mean, the bottom line is, it's very hard, but getting a freelance episode really isn't like, it's not like it's going to make your life. It's going to make you feel good about yourself. It's going to be a badge of honor. But after that freelance episode, you're kind of back where you started from. You're still a writer's assistant. You still have to break in as a staff writer to get full-time employment. So, and often it's not uncommon for a writer's assistant to get their shot and kind of blow it. It's just not, they don't do a good enough job. It's hard. And so you really want to be ready. The pressure is on. I get it. So, but that freelance episode is probably not going to make your career. It's just going to feel good. It's going to feel good, and that will help. And that might get you by that might be enough to, encourage you to keep at it for a couple more years. But it's not going to set you up for life. So,
Right. So don't celebrate too early.
Or don't be crushed too early if you don't get one. In other words.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. Cool. Ivan G. Garcia. Oh, apologize, guys. This is old. My eyes. I'm getting old, Michael. My eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Ivan Garcia 6622. What are the basic things any screenwriter should know? I know it's really broad, but I thought it was a really interesting conversation to have.
Yeah, well, okay, first of all, do you know what a story is? And most people do not know what a story is, right? I mean, honestly.
Let me interject there, too. I had a class in college at a film school where I was taking a screenwriting class, and the teacher asked us to define what a story is. And I knew because you had given me your answer. And I sat around and looked at the room, and no one raised their hand, and a couple of people said something, and the teacher kind of brushed it off. And then I gave your answer to them. And he just had this aha moment, and he literally went and changed his slides to include your answer to this.
Yeah, so the teacher didn't quite know.
And you can get that free at michaeljamin.com/free. That's the first lesson in Michael's course. He gives it away for free. Go get it. It is absolutely important.
Right. How are you going to write a story if you can't define it? And you think you know what a story is, or it's such a weird question, like in your gut, I must know what a story is. But honestly, if you can't define it, you might get lucky once or twice, but you're not going to do it on a consistent basis. You're just not.
Yeah.
So there's that. And most people don't know, and including some screenwriting teachers don't know that.
Yeah.
So
stories a must know, and the definition of story. And if I recall from conversations with you from years back, you told me that that's something you often, when you get lost in a story, it's because you're missing one of those elements of story, and you have to go put it back in.
Absolutely. I talked about this before, but when I was my partner running Marin first season, it was the first day of shooting, and we did a rewrite on a scene, and then Mark was in the middle of the scene, and he's like, "What am I doing here? What am I supposed to be playing here? What's going on?" And he starts yelling at me because the scene wasn't working, and he was right. The scene was not working, and it was because in the rewrite we had dropped one of the elements that we required, and he was right. The scene did not work, and so I had to go back and rethink, and we threw in another line that fixed everything. But yeah, it's that important. It's like the actors. Without it, the actors are going to be lost. The audience is going to be lost. You're going to be lost. You're going to struggle when you write. You're going to be like, why am I getting bored with my own piece? Which is so common that people get bored with their own writing, which is why they lose motivation, which is why they don't, they feel like the writing's all over the map, which is why they do too much rewriting because they still don't know what's good. All this there's really no screenwriting 102. It's all screenwriting 101.
Yeah.
Learn 101.
All right, so you need to know story.
Yeah.
Formatting comes to mind, but that can be done in software, right?
Yeah, right.
And
that's the least important thing.
But that's a place people get so bogged down, and I know this was true for me. I probably spent a year reading books on formatting. They're on the shelf back here behind me of just, here's how you format this, and here's how you do this, here's how you do that. What I've found now is that I've absorbed and assimilated a lot of that just from reading scripts. Like right up here, that's printed scripts that I've just printed off. You learn how other writers, how they do things. But also, you can literally just Google this as you go along if you get stuck. And there are plenty of things that kind of explain it to you. So don't get too bogged down in formatting, but you have to know formatting because it is one of the things people are going to look at and they'll judge right away whether or not you're a professional.
Yeah, it should be, you can learn it. And just to be clear, like sometimes my partner will make it up. Like if we're writing a scene that kind of the formatting is unusual, with like it's a phone call within a phone call or something odd, we go, well, let's just write it like this. As long as it's clear for the reader, it's fine. Yeah. No one's gonna, and if the AD has a problem with it, okay, fine, we'll change it when the AD. It's fine. If the AD or the writer assistant wants to change it, okay, fine. This is how we're gonna do it, though.
Love it. Okay, so is there anything else that comes to mind? Like, is there anything else that a writer, and again, basic thing a screenwriter should know?
Well, you should know that your first sample, everyone writes a script and they want to sell it. And I always say, you're not going to sell it. You should just write it as a sample. It's a calling card to get you work. And so look at it that way, which means you're going to be, as a writing sample, you're going to be judged on the quality of your writing. And so don't get so hung up on, I want to sell it. I want to make $1 million. That's like starting at the mountain at the top. You got to start the mountain at the bottom and work your way up.
Yeah. Got it. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe.
I will say that you cover a lot of this stuff in the course. So again, if anyone's interested in that, michaeljamin.com/course, go get
how to actually sit down and do it. That's what we cover. Yeah.
Yeah. I did hear someone, because structure is the other thing that comes to mind, and you cover that extensively in the course, as well as the writing process professionals use. I will say I did hear someone recently say that what you teach can be found in other places, but the way you teach it and the way you label specific things is just kind of a duh. Like, oh, duh. It's like you can't misunderstand that. And I think that's beautiful from like a just getting information across perspective and a teaching perspective. I mean, that's why some of the early testimonials we got for the course were that you're not only a great writer but a great teacher. I think it's because it's a no-brainer way you explain these things that are very convoluted and confusing.
A lot of times screenwriting teachers, I think, make it harder than it needs to be. Just make it simple.
Try to make it smart. I got like 20 screenwriting books on the shelf back there, and it wasn't until I took your course, and again, you'd been mentoring me for a while, but it wasn't until I took your course that I was like, yeah, that's just a no, duh. Like, I should just be doing it that way. I should think about it and conceptualize it that way, because it's not, inciting incidents, and it's not convoluted, deeper mythical structure, which I totally am not knocking. I'm just saying it's an easy way to think about that process. Yeah, so I'm beating the dead horse. I apologize about that, but I do think it's absolutely worth it, so go check it out. Yeah. All right. Ivan has a follow-up question. Should I always feel confident and proud of my work? How should I take criticism from someone who I don't think knows best?
Well, you should be proud of yourself for sitting down and actually writing a script, because most people say they want to do it and they don't do it. So good for you for doing it. How should you take criticism from someone who doesn't know what they're talking about? Is that what he said?
Yeah, someone who I don't think knows best.
And you don't. I mean, and that's a lot of people. There's valid criticism, and there's stuff that is not valid. So if someone says, I think you should focus more on these characters, or I think the story should be about this, that's not valid criticism. That's someone who's just trying to rewrite your work. Honestly, and if people tell you that, tell them to go, pound sand, because it's not helpful. What they can tell you is, I didn't understand what you were going for here. I didn't understand what the relationship was. I didn't understand why the ending was meaningful. That is irrefutable. That comment is, because they're just saying, you can't even argue with that. They're saying they don't understand it, and you can't argue with that. They didn't understand it. So if you want to make that more clear, you could work on that in your piece. Or if you want to ignore it altogether, you could say, well, I don't want you to understand it. I don't know why you'd ever do that. I think I don't think confusing your audience is ever a good idea. But those are the kind of notes that someone can give you that are helpful and irrefutable. And you can give it to your mom. And if your mom reads your script and takes her a month to read it because it wasn't any good, you ask her, listen, did you want to turn the page? Did you want to find out what happens next? Or did it feel like a homework assignment? And that's anyone can give you that note. Yeah, it felt a little bit like a homework assignment. Then you know your script is not ready. If it feels like a gift and they want to read your next work, you might be onto something.
Yeah, I told you, this is when I turned that corner, when I finally got that thing. I opened a beer, my friend said it, I opened a beer to read your script, and at the end I realized I hadn't even taken a sip of my beer.
That's good.
I was like, that was huge. Like, that was hugely, I never received any type of compliment like that before.
That's good writing. Right.
Yeah. So, awesome. Moving on, McLean 555. I thought this was a really, really smart question. Is plagiarism a problem among screenwriters? Which I think is the typical question. But then he or she, how can a writer avoid doing it themselves?
Oh, plagiarizing.
How to avoid plagiarizing?
Yeah. I don't know how big of a problem it is. I mean, when you're writing in a writer's room, none of the writers are going to steal from you. And the idea is specific to the characters you have on the show. And so I mean, I'm not going to steal your idea because we're going to put it on next week's episode. I mean, you're going to shoot it. In terms of stealing ideas, often in a writer's room, someone will say, "Oh, I just saw that episode 2 weeks ago on whatever show," and then usually the writers will go, "Ugh, we'll kill the idea." So that's not plagiarizing. That's coming up with the idea independently and then killing it because you don't want people to think you plagiarized. And often there are similar. Often they're just similar things in the zeitgeist that come out at the same time. But I don't. It's not really an issue that we really concern ourselves with plagiarizing.
Yeah.
At least I've never been able to talk about plagiarizing.
I think there's a level of homage too that's being like
Mm-hmm.
people are playing homage. So, did you ever watch the show White Collar?
No.
White Collar, loved this show, and then there's like this big moment at the end of a season where the guy gets in a limo and he takes a drink of a cocktail and he wakes up and he's at this place, and I was like, where have I seen that before? And then a couple months later, I pop in Mission Impossible 3, and that's literally a thing that happens in that. And I was like, oh, okay, that feels a little lazy to me. But there are plenty of other times where people are doing things like Workaholics, for example. They will totally base the premise of an episode off of a famous comedy, and you kind of get what's going on there. Like they're paying homage to that,
Yeah.
and it's like
They're
it
doing their version.
doesn't feel icky at all.
Yeah. Right.
So
Right.
yeah, it's like porn, right? You know it when you see it.
You know it when you see it.
There you go. All right, Sandy T63. What aspects of being a professional screenwriter do you wish people gave you a heads up about, and what are the struggles that nobody really talks about?
Well, I don't know what I mean. Someone gave me a heads up about. Like I knew it was going to be hard. I wasn't naive. I knew it was going to be hard. Uh, it's gotten harder as the industry's changed, and no one who could have predicted that? Who could have given me a heads up that these season orders would have gotten shorter? When I broke in, we were doing 22 episodes a season. Now you might be doing 10, and so you get paid per episode, and so it's a little harder. You have to it's harder to string a career together now than it was back then. But who could have told me that? There was, the writer's strike was 2007, 2008. And back then we were striking over something called streaming. And everyone's like, what's streaming? What's video on demand? What is VOD? What does that even mean? No one knew what it was except for the Writers Guild. And they knew this was something that we needed to get coverage on. And so that's why you have a good guild. And so that was the strike, to make sure that writers would get the same benefits if their show aired on a streaming network as opposed to a traditional network. And by the way, who cares how people are consuming it? It's the same amount of work. It's the same amount of creativity. I don't care if you're putting it you have my show implanted in your tooth and you're watching it in your brain. It's the same amount of work for me. So why would I care if it's streamed through the internet or if it comes through on, a satellite dish? Who cares? And so, luckily, there are smart people at the guild who saw that coming.
Yeah. Anything else come to mind? Any other struggles you deal with as a professional writer?
Well, I don't know. Do you have something in mind, Phil?
Well, it was just that there was a John August, written a ton of stuff. He had a blog post years ago talking about how to budget your money from your first sale. And that was one of the things that I was like, that's really smart. I don't think people are talking about, you've sold something, now what do you do? And he broke it down and he did finances, and there's a spreadsheet. You can go check it out, johnaugust.com. But that has some pretty interesting information about it. So I just wasn't sure if there was anything else that like you stumbled upon as a writer later in your career.
Well, I kind of knew that as just growing up. Like, don't live beneath your means. Always. And I remember when I was first buying a house, I remember I got advice from someone. I won't say who it was, but at the time I was like, this is terrible advice. And he was a very successful showrunner. He was like, whatever house you can buy more. Push yourself, because you're going to make a lot of money. And so push yourself to buy a bigger house so you can. And I'm like, that sounds like a terrible idea. No, my father always told me to live beneath my means. And thank God I listened to my dad and not him, because you're going to go through, it's feast or famine. So I'll go months without making money, and then I'll have a job and I'll make money again. But I never know how long the famine's going to last. I just don't know. None of us do.
Yeah, and there's talk of a recession coming up, so now's the time to be thinking about that stuff as well. I think we very quickly forget how bad things are when things are good, and we've been as bad as things have been, we've been pretty good for a while.
Yeah.
So, we had this conversation because I just moved recently in August. I moved to a much bigger house, and I just remember laying awake for like weeks saying, how am I going to afford this? And I could totally afford it. I would have never even moved if it didn't make sense from a percentage of my income, because I too was taught to live below my means. But I still stressed about it because it's the most amount of money I've ever put into a home. Right. Same thing. You gotta think about those things and where the next check's gonna come and how you're gonna eat and how you have a family, how you're gonna feed your family. So
Yeah.
All right. Enough about my house. Sorry guys. I know you're here to listen to Michael, not me. But I appreciate you I appreciate you entertaining
Real estate
me.
woes.
That's right. Holden_Levy_. When writing a spec script, something that you did not create yourself for a studio, what is the most important thing to include in the script? Asking is I'm applying for an internship where they're asking us to write a spec scene for an existing show. So, you want me to rephrase that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Holden says, hey, I'm applying for this internship, and they're asking me to write a spec script from this spec scene from this episode, this existing show. Is there anything in particular I should be including there? Because it's not something I made. It's a spec.
Right. It's easier to write a spec script than it is an original piece. Far easier, I think. I mean, you have to know how to tell a compelling story. I mean, this is what we teach in the writing course that we have at my screenwriting course. But is there anything you should put in? Yeah, a good story and a good A story with high stakes and a compelling B story. And you should be able to have the characters should be doing things that seem consistent with the characters. You shouldn't be having guest stars that drive the story. You shouldn't be, and all this I teach, you shouldn't have guest stars that have more lines than the regular characters. I mean, it should be about the characters in the show. I don't know why. I don't know what kind of internship it is that requires you to submit a spec script.
It's a spec scene. So to keep it's literally, it's
a scene.
It's a scene.
Yeah, I can't. I don't even understand why they would want. Aren't you just gonna be making coffee? I mean, what are they gonna give you? But that, yeah. I mean, if it's just a scene, same thing. What I just said, but on a smaller scale. Make sure the characters are consistent and doing.
Make sure they pop. Make sure that there's something expressed.
There's conflict. Yeah. Make sure the tone is right of the show, consistent with the show. Don't do something totally off balance that the show would never have done, but you're like, oh, this is a horror episode of this show, but they don't do horror episodes on this show. Yeah, but what if they did? No, it should be consistent of what they actually did.
Sure.
Representative.
Awesome. All right, I apologize, I'm going to mispronounce this. Najo_type life. It could also be Najo because it's a J. You're a polyglot. You speak more than one language. You speak 3: Italian, Spanish, English.
Yeah, a little bit of English, conversational English.
Nice, good for you. You ever get your pronunciation super screwed up when you read words? Najo. Najo.
Between Spanish and Italian?
Or anything. So for me, I speak English and Spanish fluently, but whenever I talk to anyone, you could be Korean, you come up and talk to me, my brain wants to speak Spanish to you, just out of the box.
Oh, yeah. I was talking to comedian Frank Caliendo, right? Caliendo is Italian. He's an Italian name, but he goes, that's not how he pronounces it. It's Caliendo. And I'm like, you're saying your name wrong.
I digress.
Same thing with Mike Birbiglia. I'm like, no, Mike, that's not how you say your last name.
How do you say his last name?
Was Birbiglia. That's how you'd say in Italian, but that's not how he says it.
I like the handshake. I like the handshake too. While
they all talk with their hands.
It's beautiful. All right. Digress. Back to the question at hand. How do I prepare for a general meeting with a large, full caps production company with a development exec as a screenwriter?
Good question. So a general meeting, they want to make sure you're not a drooling idiot. I would go in there with some knowledge of what they do. So get on IMDb, do a Google search of what kind of movies or TV shows they've made in the past, so you can have educated conversation. So you could say, hey, I love this project that you made. Everyone likes being told that you're a fan of their work. So that's easy, a Google search, talk about what they've done, compliment them, and then be prepared to talk about yourself and what kind of projects you want to do. And it's going to be very tempting to go in and say, I can do everything. And that's not the truth. Find out, if you're a drama writer, what kind of drama do you do? If you're a comedy writer, what kind of comedy do you do? And tell them what you want to do and what you excel at. And that way you're making their job easier. If you tell them exactly what you do, which is I do high concept thrillers or whatever, Then when they have a project in mind or a need, they're going to think of you. If you tell them, I can do everything, they're not going to think of you. You know, put yourself in a box to make it easy for them to employ you. So that's your preparation. And you should also be prepared to talk about what shows you like. They're going to say, hey, what shows are you watching? So you're going to say, oh, I watched White Lotus. And then be prepared to talk about what you liked about it, you know?
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Cool. Jeremy M. Rice, how much of show running is budgeting and managing a staff?
All of it, but it's not really, it is managing a staff. You're in charge of the staff, the writing staff. And, you know, most people don't become comedy writers, especially to become, you know, management. Like that, we become writers because we don't want to go into management. And so suddenly you're the boss of the show, and now you have to manage these other writers. And it's kind of like, I don't really know it's a skill that you have to kind of acquire real fast. And so it's about motivating people, keeping people, encouraging them so that they can give you their best. I feel it's important not to waste their time. If people feel like they're hostages, they're not going to give you their best work. They're going to feel beaten down. I like to empower people because that's how you get their best work out of them. In terms of budgeting, you know, the budget is set. And I don't even look at those numbers when I'm running the show. I'll just say, I'll ask the producer, can we do this? The line producer. And the line producer doesn't even always know. Often they'll come back to you. They'll say, I think we can do this if we steal from this episode. So, you know, I think we can shoot an amusement park if we steal at this episode and you make this real, we don't spend a lot of money here. Can you do that? And so, okay, yeah, I can have fewer sets and fewer actors and fewer everything to make this happen. So it's a conversation. That's why it's very collaborative. And you work closely with the department heads as a showrunner to get hopefully your vision made. But I always try to stay on budget because the last thing you want to do is give the studio a reason to fire you.
Sure. This goes back to like one of our early episodes. When you're staffing a show, are you considering budgets at all? Or are you just saying these are the people I want to hire, and then you hear back and say, well, we can or we can?
No, they tell you. They'll come right out and they tell you, okay, you have enough money to hire one showrunner. Usually they'll say this, we want you to have a big staff, so we want you to hire 10 staff writers. And then I'll come back and say, I don't want 10 staff writers. I would rather have one really good co-executive producer. And then if there's money left over, we'll hire some staff writers. A lot of voices to me are not good in the room. I'd rather have qualified people who know what they're talking about than I don't need a million ideas. I just need someone who can write a really damn good script.
Got it.
You know?
So you'd rather put the money towards talent and capability over.
Yeah, I always prefer a
ideas.
top-heavy show, meaning experienced
I
writers.
think that's general. That's generally true, I would say, from what I've seen at least. And
but often they want
Hollywood's...
you often the people with the purses, they tell you they want the opposite because they don't know. And so they're like, no, we want you to have a lot of different voices. I don't want a lot of different voices. That's the last thing I want. I want people who can do the job. Hey, it's Michael Jamin. If you like my videos and you want me to email them to you for free, join my watch list. Every Friday, I send out my top 3 videos. These are for writers, actors, creative types. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. I'm not going to spam you, and it's absolutely free. Just go to michaeljamin.com/watchlist.
Ivan Garcia 6622 is back. If I wish to become a professional writer, does it mean I should drop everything and just write all day, every day?
Well, I don't know how you're going to do that without paying. You got to pay the bills. But you can certainly drop all your pastimes and become a writer. Like you have to go to work and, you know, but after work, yeah, you should be writing. You should be writing every day regardless. And I heard a great quote. I think it was Stephen King said this. I was like, oh, I like the way he said it. You know, when you're inspired, you write. When you're exhausted and you just don't have it in you in the can, then you should be reading. But writing comes first.
I think it was Terrence Winter, and I apologize if I'm misappropriating this quote. But he was on a podcast I listened to years ago, and he said that when he moved to LA, I believe he was an attorney first, and then he moved to LA. Mm-hmm. And when he moved here, and he's the creator of Boardwalk Empire, and he worked on The Sopranos, really well-known, talented writer. But he said he moved here, and his friends would be like, hey, let's go to a Dodgers game. And he'd say, no, I haven't earned it yet. And he would not allow himself to go have fun until he had done the work he had assigned himself to do. Yeah. And that's a level of dedication, discipline, and professionalism that I think you have to make it. And it obviously works. Look at him. But you got to pay your bills. You got to eat. right? So
Yeah.
for him, it's, it's sacrificing where other people are not willing to sacrifice, I think is the answer.
Right. Yeah. How bad do you want it? So yeah,
And,
you got to make choices.
and we talked about this before. Sacrifice it basically means to make holy, right? It's you're making something sacred. So you're exchanging something for something else to get something better, which I think is a podcast that's coming up. Is
Yeah.
long-term focus over short-term gratification.
I guess that makes sense. Sacrament.
Yeah. All right. Grizzly Hanif.
Sagrado.
Grizzly Hanif. Hanif. I don't know. I apologize, Grizzly. How do you balance writing multiple scripts?
Like I wonder if they're talking about me or you.
I think
Like
it's
one.
a question for you, and I think that might speak to one, right? But how do
Yeah.
you, as someone who is writing multiple projects, you've sold 2 or 3 projects recently with your writing
Yeah.
partner, and you're writing your own books, your own
Yeah.
essays. How do you balance that?
Well, it depends what we're doing, but I don't have too many projects at any one time. It's only a couple, so it's not that hard. If we're running a show, then we have a bunch of scripts out and we have to keep them all in mind. And and yeah, you look at the outlines, you look at the notes. That's the hard part of the job. But in terms of projects, I don't have. I think a lot of people. If we're talking about an aspiring writer or an emerging writer, I think they'll often have multiple scripts because they get bored by their own work. And well, I'll just do this now because I'm stuck here. I'll just do this now. And so the problem with that is they're struggling. They don't know what they're doing, and so they're just putting it off by starting a new project and never finishing anything. And so that's not good. That's where education can help. Where if you understand story structure, you shouldn't be struggling as much. You shouldn't be getting bored by your own work.
Right. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to finish, get to a point. When we talked about that in a previous podcast, how do you know when you're done, this project
Hmm.
done? You set it aside, you go write something else. You're going to come back, you're probably going to rewrite some stuff. It's probably going to see a
Yeah,
bunch of holes, some things you can fix, things you can improve. But that's just because
yeah,
you got better because you went putting time on another project. So,
yeah,
but I think that's a great point. Like when you're running a show, you are running a show and you're doing a lot of episodes, a lot of storylines going at the same time.
yeah,
So.
yeah. And often I'll say to the writer, "What's going on? What's the story about again? Refresh my memory because I can't remember 10 episodes at the same time."
All right, Johnny JK01. How does your workday look as a feature writer versus a TV writer?
Well, I don't really work much in film. My partner, we've sold two, but we've since stayed in television. I don't really know. I mean, your feature writer, you're working from your house probably more, and it's not collaborative. You're alone, and you're dealing with a producer. A producer's giving you notes, and you're going back, and you're banging your head against the wall. But on TV show, it's collaborative. You have a writing staff. So if you get stuck on a scene, you bring it in front of the staff, and you say, "Hey, let's talk about this some more."
Yeah, great. All right, colors by CEK. Does it really matter where you go to college or university to study screenwriting? How much of an impact does it make on your career? Are the prestigious schools really what they make themselves out to be?
I don't think No, I don't think so. I think what you can get from it's important to learn screenwriting and study it somewhere, but the degree itself is worthless. No one's going to ask to see your degree. They're going to want to know if you can write, and if that school teaches you how to be a good writer, then it's worth something. But the degree itself will not open any doors. No one cares. I've never hired anybody. I've never asked to see their degree. I never want to see their GPA. It means nothing to me. So the education is worth something, but the degree is worthless, I think. Uh, and also, if you go to a school, if it's a prestigious school, your fellow students may grow up to be successful directors and people that you can work with in the future. So it's good to network with those people because they'll a rising tide raises all boats. But but you can get the knowledge without having the degree.
Yeah. As someone with a degree, I concur.
Yeah.
Ryan Darnowski. How many credits does a writer need to have if they want to become a creator or a showrunner?
Yeah. How many credits? It's like it doesn't really work like that. I mean, we were writers for 10 years before someone decided we were ready to be showrunners, and even then we weren't sure if we were ready. It's a big leap. There was talk earlier, like I know some people who become showrunners, maybe after 4 or 5, and it's a little scary because there's just so much to learn and so much to know. So it's not even about credits. I know everyone wants to be a showrunner. I would just don't like just worry about being a writer first. It's so freaking hard. There's so much you have to know, and that's why they get paid so much money. Is because you know you got to know how to do it. I wouldn't just learn how to write first, one step at a time.
Yeah, I think that question kind of speaks to a lack of understanding of how the process works, and it's not like you apply for that job, right? Like that's a
Right.
job that you are given or assigned because you have enough clout and credit and respect for the
Right.
accomplishments you have, or you've sold something and you have enough clout, credits,
Right.
and respect for what you've done. So, because
Yeah. The
I
first
asked that
time
question early on. Go ahead.
Well, the first time we were hired as showrunners, like I'm sure that was Michael Eisner hired us for Glenn Martin. I'm sure he was nervous because we had never run a show before, and he had a right to be nervous. We had a lot of animation experience, but he was like, "Can you do this?" And my partner like, "Yeah, we can do it," very unconvincingly. So he had a right to be nervous, and we were nervous. It's like it's a big deal to give someone that break.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I asked that question early on too. Like, if I sold a show, am I automatically the showrunner? And you're like, nope. And
No,
you may not
no,
even
no.
be an executive producer, right?
Oh,
You
probably not. You'll
negotiate that.
probably be, yeah, but you'll probably be a low level or mid level writer. They're not gonna, it's such a big deal that they're not gonna trust their investment to someone who has no idea how to do it.
Sure. Sure. Awesome. That's the end of our professional. We got a couple aspirational and one general. I think we can get these done in a couple of minutes here and wrap this up. No
Yep.
need to split into a third episode on the Ask Me Anything episode of Michael Jamin's screenwriting podcast.
Yeah.
Nate Gillen, or Gillen. I'm so horrible with these pronunciations. I apologize, everybody. As the medium for television seems to shift from networks to streaming platforms, whose staff should I try to join as a PA and eventually a writer to pitch a show to after years of experience, of course? Netflix, Disney, a studio like FX. And I
Whoever will
think
hire you. Yeah.
that's
Is that what you? Yeah.
that's
There's
exactly
no
what I was
wrong
thinking.
answer.
I
Whoever
think
will hire you, and those writers will bounce. If they're on a network show next year, they'll be on a streaming show. Like they'll bounce around. We don't care. I don't think.
yeah.
For the most part, we're like, hey, who's hiring? We'll take the job.
Yeah, I think I can speak to this as someone who has been a PA for the last several years in multiple aspects. Um, Whatever job you can get, like
Yeah.
finding a job is the hard part. Like
Yeah.
it is so hard to find a PA job where you can get brought on that you could then have to build a reputation. And it's not like you stick with a studio or a production company. Even you're typically moving with that crew of people. Your production
Hmm.
office coordinator likes you, so as an office PA, they hire you on the next show. You're a set PA, and the first AD likes you, or the second AD likes you, or the second likes you, so they bring you on to the next one. You move with the people, not necessarily the people making the show. There are
Right.
some circumstances, I've been working with A24 for a couple seasons now on Tacoma FD, and I did have some conversations with them where they said, hey, we would like to continue to work with you. And so I've built that relationship of trust over several seasons with them. And I could probably go to them and say, hey, I'm looking for a job, and they'd recommend me to stuff. But I also have plenty of other relationships that I could probably just move to the next project or the next project with the groups of people I've worked with. So it's
Yeah.
just networking, and you got to get the
Yeah.
job first. So don't
Yeah.
don't don't feel like you're plotting out an entire career based on what job you get as a PA. That's just not going to happen.
Right. Right.
Cool.
Exactly.
We're going to get into some questions that are very similar here, right? And so I just want to give these people, because they asked the question, some clout here, but they are very similar in the things you've already answered many times. As an aspiring screenwriter, what is one of the best ways to gain exposure? Where is a good outlet to present your work to gain potential opportunity? That's 99 Jack. And then I'm going to do Kimmy, Naomi. What are the best ways to get your writing out there and known to attract bigger opportunities these days? And she talks about how it used to be blogging. Is it festivals? Is it shorts? Kind of
Yeah.
smashing them together, right?
Yeah. But it's anything. It's like sure you can apply to some of the bigger screenwriting festivals, the big ones, not the little ones. The ones you've heard of are they might be worth something. Sundance or Nichols or
Austin, television.
Austin. Yeah, yeah, those are good ones. But the smaller ones are they're just money making operations. Uh, so that's what you could do that. But also just put your work anywhere you put your work out there. Shorts, sure. Make a TikTok channel and put your work up there. In 3 minutes. Make a name for yourself. Learn every time you create something. is a good experience. You'll learn from it. A lot of people think it's about networking with people like me, and it's not. You don't have to network with people like me. You can network with people like you. And so you could find fellow filmmakers just out of college, or people in college, or students or whatever, and just start making stuff together. Get a group of actors, writers, may build a community, because those people are going to rise up. If they're serious about it, they're going to rise up. They're going to have little opportunities. Hey, an actor is going to say, I just booked a commercial. Or a writer is going to say, oh, I just did a tiny little thing for somebody. I wrote and whatever it is, it's going to look, whoa, that's interesting. And you're going to surround yourself with these people, and all these little opportunities. You're going to learn about their opportunities, and maybe they're going to bring you in on stuff, or maybe you'll be inspired. Oh, I could write something like that. I can stage a play. And you're building your community of people, and someone's going to pop, and you're going to pop, and that's how you rise up. You don't have to start at the top. You don't have to get your hands in Steven Spielberg's lap to make it in Hollywood. All you got to do is build yourself a little community, and that's whoever you want to be with. And that's why I encourage people to move to LA, because a lot of those people happen to be in LA, right? If people come to LA to make that dream happen. Can you do it and stay where you are? I guess, but you're going to find more people out here trying to do it.
Yeah. LA is also a great sift. It's a sifter of people. A lot of people are going to move here. A lot of people are going to fall out. There's a lot of attrition. People are going to leave, and they're not going to make it. I moved here with a bunch of people from film school. Most of them have left the business or have moved back home because just they didn't have what it took, or they didn't feel like they could devote the time, or
how serious did they take it? Did they make it? Did those film students, did they ever actually try to make anything?
No. The answer is no.
No.
Right?
The answer is no. Right.
Because it's easier to dream about something. It's zero risk to think it or dream it or say you're doing it. It is a lot of risk, personally and financially and professionally, to go out and try to do something. But I don't know anyone who's ever knocked someone for trying. I hear a lot of people, it's people want to save face with family and friends, or relationships they have back at home, or wherever it is, who said you're never going to make it. And so it's easier to say you don't want to do it. Like, I have a friend, really talented writer, puts in more effort than anyone I know writing. He writes all the time, but he never finishes anything. And he never submits anything. He never sends anything out. He's turned down PA jobs I've tried to give him. He's done all these things because, and this is like super deep, he's afraid of failing his father. Like, his father told him he's not going to make it. And so any tertiary job related to film that is not film counts, because there's zero stake in it.
Yeah, but it's sad, but you have to start. Like, success doesn't look like what you think it looks like. Success doesn't look like a giant check from a studio to make your movie. It looks like some opportunity that's beneath you. It looks like you making a student film, shooting it on your iPhone, and posting it to YouTube. And what's the budget? $30. I mean, that's what it looks. I mean, there's no reason why you can't do that. You need better sound, maybe more than $30, but you don't need $50,000 to make your movie. No, you could do it on your phone. You need good sound, and you need pay people in pizza. That's how you do it.
And people will happily do it for pizza. People are starving in LA, man. It's expensive. It's actually cheaper right now, by the way, to eat out than it is to buy groceries. So just keep that in mind. That's the inflation world. Yeah. All right. Last question here, and then one in general. Is writing and directing the best way to get your name out there?
Well, any way to get, like, whatever you're doing, whatever, like making a film with your neighbor, already you're exposing yourself to more people than just staying in your basement and doing nothing.
Yeah, and the short answer, the reason I separated this one out, the short answer is, what do you want to do? Do that. Do that as much as you can. Do it every chance you can. Put it out there as many times, as much as you can, no matter what, and embrace the fact that you're gonna suck at it. Like, that's new. Yeah. It's not meant to be easy for you. Suck it up, and there's zero stakes right now because nobody knows who you are, and that's great.
You know what, though? I've told the story before, but like a couple of months ago, I know a girl I went to high school with. Her son is now a student at a film school, and he lives in LA. And they needed people to be in their student film, and they asked if I wanted to do it. And I'm not an actor, so I didn't want to do it. But if I was an actor, because they needed a guy my age, if I was an actor, I would have done it. Why? Because those kids, that crew of 5 people, sure, they're just dumb students at a film school. No, someone is going to rise up and make a name for themselves. And so why wouldn't I not want to, get to know that person. And so it may feel like, well, but yeah, but that's an opportunity for 5 years or 10 years from now. You know, build a circle for yourself. There's no reason, like I didn't want to do it because I don't want to be an actor, but there's no reason. If I wanted to, I would have done it.
Yeah. Speaking of that, and we haven't talked about this much, I just let you know this last week, but I actually have a couple of producers who've hired me to write a spec feature. That's just an indie feature. It's not anything guild related. It's my first paid work.
That's
And
amazing.
that opportunity, yeah, it's huge. And that opportunity comes from they needed help producing a sizzle reel in New Mexico in 2015. And I showed up and I devoted all my time for a weekend to them. I spent tons of time. I spent some of my own money taking care of people and getting things done and impress them enough that with the help of your course and your mentorship and the time I put into being here in Hollywood and working in as a PA and all these things, I finally had writing samples that impressed them enough. This is,
Yeah.
if you can hit a budget, it's producible, and it's good enough writing, right? They're going to send it off, so they're going to take it and they're going to submit it to production companies to try to get made as an indie film.
And
Awesome.
that's fantastic. Right. And that's because you put yourself out there and you didn't, and nothing was beneath you and you didn't think you had to start at the top.
Because you can't.
Yeah.
So
You can't.
I apologize. I missed one question here. It's from Hershey Barr, Barr. How do you know when you're ready to sell your script? Another one you've
Well,
answered
when
before.
someone offers you money for it, but it's I think we kind of hit on it a little bit already. It's like if you give your script to somebody and people enjoy when they want to turn the page, you might have something. If it's not, if you can't get even your best friend to say it's good, then it's not ready. And again, your goal is not to sell it. Your goal is to impress someone with your writing so that you have other opportunities. So don't even think about it. It's not about selling your script. Everyone wants to make money. How about you just learn how to become someone that that you're in demand. If you're a good writer, you will be in demand. Learn how to write first, and then doors will open. But if it's only about lining your pockets, what do you think is going to happen?
Yep. All right, that wraps it up for the aspirational section. One question in general is from Christopher Rings. Do you have a favorite meta description of screenwriters in media? I think of the I Love Lucy writers' room and Being the Ricardos.
Oh,
This is a more personal
yeah.
question for you. It's not about your
Yeah,
underwear.
I watched that and I enjoyed that. It's funny. I mean, Aaron Sorkin is a fantastic writer. I was a little surprised when I watched that. And Aaron Sorkin knows what a writer's room is. I mean, he's run writers' rooms. He's been in writers' rooms. I was a little surprised about when I watched that. It was I don't remember the character, but she's a female writer on For I Love Lucy, and she was giving it to Lucille Ball in the movie. She was giving it to her, and I'm like, whoa! I've never been on a writing staff where a staff writer talked to the star that way. Now, that's not to say it didn't happen, because maybe it did. I don't know about the past, but I was surprised when I saw that. I was like, whoa! In general, we don't talk to actors that way. We don't. We don't yell at them. Especially the star. We don't call them out because they'll fight you. They get you fired. So no one wants to get fired. So I'm not sure if that's an accurate. Although I totally enjoyed that movie, and watching it, I was like, oh, I wonder if that's how it was. I don't know. I wasn't there. So is there an accurate depiction? I thought
It's really more your favorite. I think the question is favorite, not necessarily accurate.
Oh, okay.
It could be accurate. It could be both.
I always liked on the Larry, and I haven't seen it in 20 years, but on the Larry Sanders Show, I always liked the way the actor, Jeremy Piven was portrayed on as the writers, because those guys were never happy. They were joke writers and they were never happy, and they always aspired to do more, sell a screenplay or whatever. And that felt real to me, or it felt funny to me. And I haven't worked in late night television, so I don't know if it's accurate, but I thought that was hilarious.
That's awesome. I really loved, was it Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, which I brought up before? I think it's Aaron Sorkin as well, and it's like a Saturday Night Live type show behind the scenes. Really moving, really moving. One of the most beautiful Christmas episodes of anything I've ever seen. Really touching. Yeah. So.
And then there's 30 Rock portrayed the writing staff, but not really. They quickly ditched that because the gold was not in the writing staff. Watching people write is not interesting. Watching actors become idiots, that's more interesting than watching writers at a table. So
awesome. Well, that's the end of your Ask Me Anything, Michael. Two-parter done. Any other thoughts, questions, anything you want to put out to your audience?
Just the normal stuff. We got lots of free resources for people who want to go get it. We got free downloads of sample
Sure.
scripts. We have
We should,
free
one thing we
lessons.
don't talk about is you have you have a bunch of free samples that you have available of your
Yep.
writing.
Yeah.
I'll pull up the URL here if you want to start talking about the other one. I apologize, I don't have that ready.
Yeah, that we have a free lesson on screenwriting at michaeljamin.com/free. Definitely get that. We have our watch list, which is our weekly newsletter with tips. You should be on that. michaeljamin.com/watchlist. I post daily on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook at Michael Jamin Writer. This is all free, guys. And then, of course, there's some downloads for scripts that I've written if you want to, study those or look at the formatting. I know it's available on the website, michaeljamin.com. I know Phil's going to give you the right URL.
Yeah, I'll get it. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a link in the show notes here. So just go check that out because it's going to take me a second to pull this up. I've done a poor job of making it really accessible, so I will get that fixed today.
Yeah,
you can always go to michaeljamin.com/ and there's a free stuff tab at the top. And you can just hit that and it'll be in there. So
yeah, that's
cool.
It. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Phil, thank you for joining me here.
My pleasure, as always. Love what you're doing with the interviews, by the way. They're great. I'm learning a ton from listening to those.
Some good stuff.
This podcast is evolving. It's pretty cool to be a part of it and see what you're doing and have those behind the curtains with some of those pretty powerful and interesting writers that I don't think a lot of people thinking about. So
yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Keep writing.
Thank you. Until next time.
This has been an episode of Screenwriters Need to Hear This with Michael Jamin and Phil Hudson. If you'd like to support this podcast, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing this podcast with someone who needs to hear today's subject. For free daily screenwriting tips, follow Michael on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Michael Jamin Writer. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Phil A. Hudson. This episode was produced by Phil Hudson and edited by Dallas Crane. Until next time, keep writing.